Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right. And here we are for A Huskies Health with the man himself, Chris Bellamy. Chris
What's up, Cully?
It's great to see you as always. A former UConn star, mental health advocate, champion for fathers' rights, and star of the hit podcast, All Black Men Need Therapy. It's great to see you. And I, first off, wanted to ask you your thoughts on the national championship game. Were you surprised by Indiana and their performance?
I wasn't, man. No, I wasn't. I told the group chat that I want Miami to win, but Indiana's gonna win.
Yeah.
I want Miami to win, but I didn't see anybody beating Indiana, man. I didn't see anybody beating Indiana. I mean, and on top of that, they have more fans in Miami than Miami.
They did. I mean, they had so much support. They had so much support.
Crazy. But
and yeah, I agree with you.
It was a great game. Like, I mean, for the sports fans, right? Like, it was a great game. I was impressed. I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I said, whoever wins, it's a storybook ending. Whoever wins,
either way,
right? Because Miami coming back, being back in prominence, right? Like, they were down for a long time.
They weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs.
And then there's that, right? So it's like whoever won, it was going to be a great story to tell. So I wanted Miami to win, but I knew Indiana was going to win, and I didn't have a dog in the fight. Like, I didn't care. So it was good to me no matter what.
I was, if you told me 2 years ago that Indiana was going to win the national championship, I would have been in shock. I was like, wow. But you got to give Coach Curt Cignetti, he's done an incredible job. And, he's done well with the transfer portal and developing kids and finding Fernando Mendoza, who is likely going to be the first pick in the draft. But that leads to my next question. the craziness that is going on in the transfer portal. I've had several talks, and I was telling people your thoughts on it, what's going to happen in a few years to some of these kids. And, I do a show with Julius Williams. We went through it, and there were 11,000 kids in the transfer portal, and 3,000 got signed. And that just blew me away. It's like all these kids, they're either getting bad guidance and advice from who's ever advising them, or if they have an agent or someone representing them, their families, and they go into the portal, and just to not get picked up, I think the NCAA made a mistake because they thought cutting it to 15 days was going to deter people from going into it. It obviously didn't. It just made things like a mad scramble, and it kind of caused chaos for teams trying to get things filled, trying to get everything mixed, for the players they needed. But it just seemed like a disaster to me. And then on top of it, the tampering part of it, with guys signed, coaches going after them from other teams. The whole transfer portal thing, I really think needs kind of a reset. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, because 11,000 kids, 3,000 get signed. I mean, that's not what it was for.
Dude, it was a prominent coach. Maybe it was Jimbo Fisher, I think, recently. So he proposed. It was Jimbo. I think it was Jimbo. Either Jimbo or
Dabo. You think
Dabo?
Of? Yeah.
It was
I
Dabo.
saw.
Yeah, and he was saying that I like what he proposed. Right, you get one transfer uninhibited,
free
transfer, no consequence, nothing. You transfer twice, you sit out a year.
Correct.
Or if you graduate, you can transfer with no consequence.
Correct.
Right? So you can transfer twice with no consequence, provided you graduate.
You incentivize it.
That I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because Cully, we're talking about football. Basketball, maybe worse, arguably. Now it's not as many kids, right? But the implications could be worse, where you could have a kid that plays for two different teams in the same season.
Well, we're seeing guys that are coming from pro leagues, guys coming from the G League, guys who played overseas. They had the rule, if you didn't play in an NBA game, you could come back. Baylor took a kid who was drafted in 2023. He comes back to college and is playing for Baylor. Alabama just took a kid. It's getting held up in court right now because the NCAA is basically saying if you declare for the draft, you give up your college eligibility. So they're fighting it in court, but the NCAA traditionally has lost in court. But it seems like madness to me. And what happened, what I thought the Duke quarterback, Menza, at the 11th hour decides that he's going to enter the transfer portal. And this is after December 26th, where he already announces he's going to return. He has his agreement, the revenue sharing agreement, and the NIL deal. It's all signed. And he's going in the portal. And I was talking to Bert, and I'm like, is the paper even worth the contract the paper's printed on worth it? I mean, like next year in the third game, I want you to stop paying someone. Just stop paying someone. See what happens. I just want to know. I want to know what they do, because it blows my mind that they have these contracts, they have these agreements, and they violate them. And the quarterback at Washington had a high buyout at least, and that deterred him, and he didn't go in. Menza didn't have a buyout, but the agreement was signed. He was training. He was in class. And now it's in the court system, which I think is crazy. And then we'll get into the Clemson deal. But what were your thoughts on Menza? I think obviously Miami was courting him. because Beck is leaving, and they went hard. And the 11th hour, after saying he's coming back, making this big splash, getting everyone at Duke excited, I'm going in the transfer portal.
I have a couple thoughts. One, well, this is a question. Did he play when we played Duke this year?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so one, I didn't know he was worth that type of money, first and foremost. Right?
Well,
with the crazy deal that they gave him. But what do they say? You get what you negotiate. So whoever's on his team, my hat goes off to him. I think if he's getting paid that, then he's worth that, right? That's one. In the vein of the health, mental health, my question, Cully, is what are the kids after? What are they chasing? Is it opportunity, or is it opportunity, and because of the opportunity you're going to get paid, or is it I need to get paid and hopefully there's an opportunity? You see what I'm saying? It's different because
huge.
Like, if we're only chasing money, let's call it what it is. You're a mercenary.
That's what I said. They're hired guns. They're mercenaries.
Yeah, they're mercenaries, right? And in some instances, right, maybe it's acceptable, right? In some instances,
listen, they made billions off these kids' backs for years without paying them.
So what we're seeing is the gold rush, right? Like I said this before, is I call it reparations, if you will.
Yeah.
And as far as out of hand, right? If we slow down for a second, for as out of hand, as far as out of hand as some of these circumstances are, at least we can tangibly track that money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
Because again, the money has always been there. Right?
Yes.
Like the money has always been there. It's never been a void of money. It's been a void of equity, right? It's been a void of equality.
Huge.
Like it's been a void of those things, but never a void of money. So I think there's going to be some unprecedented thing, even though every year we see something unprecedented, right? Like we see something where like, didn't see that coming, right? Don't know how they got away with that. Not sure that that's going to fly, but it continues to fly. But it's going to be something that happens, and it's just going to be, a hard stop. But what I will say, and not to get political, this is par for the course for what we're seeing in our country.
Oh, it is.
It's like everything goes.
Yeah.
Everything goes. There's no governor.
There's no rule.
Right? Like, you want to do that? Awesome. Have at it. You want to go to that school? Then renege and then go back to your school and then leave again and have at it. Right? You don't feel like you're getting paid what you deserve to get paid, sue the school. Right? Like, and you're going to win. It's just, again, man, under no circumstances do I want these kids not to get paid. I just think
I agree with you.
Guardrails, and I've said that from day one. You've said that from day one. I love the swinging of the pendulum, but the problem with swinging the pendulum is when you can't right your wrong. You can't right 7,500 years of wrongs of not paying these kids in one swoop.
Years. Yeah.
Right. So there's going to be some things, some fallout. There's going to be some head scratchers. And like I said, unfortunately, there's a lot of adults benefiting right now still. Now, again, the caveat is these kids are now getting paid. However, what I didn't realize up until 6 months ago, these agents get paid every new contract.
They do. And they get paid a
there's
ton.
Nobody regulating their percentages. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So
correct.
It's wild. So it's like, that's why I ask, what are we after? Are we after financial gains for a potential opportunity, or are we after an opportunity with potential financial gains? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's two different conversations.
And when you're seeing roster turnover that's greater than NFL teams, that's scary. And agents that are getting 20 to 25% sometimes on these contracts. And I think that's the driving factor. And there's no certification for NIL agents. I said this before. I said my dog could be an NIL agent if he wanted. There's no certification for it. So that is where I think there's a huge disconnect and a big problem. And, you know, we were talking about it. There is going to be a mental health crisis coming down the road because, like you said, so many of these kids are not going to see money like this again. They're not going to understand the work that goes into having a career, building a career, having a job, growing and having success. They're just going to think it's going to come to them at some point, and they're going to sit around and wait for it to happen. And, you know, I see depression coming down the road very, very harshly because 1% of college athletes make it to the NFL. So all these kids who are getting paid, a very, very small percent are going to make it to the league. And I don't know that they're necessarily financially planning well. They're going to burn themselves out, and they're going to be in a terrible state. And that is, you know, I really started to think more about that once I saw the numbers. When you know, 10,000, 11,000 kids in the portal, 3,000 get signed. You have 8,000 kids who are waiting to hope there's an injury, hope that something happens so that a school will take them. And, you know, during spring practice, if there's an injury or if there's a sudden coaching change, something that happens. But that's Carly, where it's getting just awful.
Carly, the depression you speak of is going to rear its head far before these kids are NFL eligible. Far before.
I agree. I agree.
You know, like, because another dark side to this that we're not talking about is I signed you for a modest 100,000, right? Modest 100,000. You don't perform. Guess what? I'm cutting you.
You're not going to be renewed. Yep.
No, I'm 100%.
not.
Right? You're not worth the money. Put that in air quotes, right? You're not worth the money. So now what does that kid do?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like he was dependent on that money.
Yeah.
He goes to a lower school
yeah.
to play, no money. Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you have a number of things that you're battling. You have the opportunity not being present for you to play, right? Like that's something that was around far before NIL, right? Like what did Coach Edsel always say? He's like, summer workouts aren't mandatory, but neither is playing time, right? So that's one. So you got to fight for a spot, regardless of how much that check is. And we saw that UConn, right?
Yeah.
The highest paid quarterback wasn't the one that was playing. So
it sure wasn't.
So my point is, you got to find yourself there, right? You got to find yourself, like, your football identity in real time, right? Like, again, the only thing I can reference is myself. When I lost my spot, I was in a dark place, and there was no money involved.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
losing your spot. Yeah.
I remember I was so down in the dumps where it's like, I didn't even want to play special teams because I'm like, if I can't play, I don't want to play nothing. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
And now, fortunately for me, I was able to come up out of it. But now you put me in that same situation in today's game, I'm transferring, right? Or I'm putting my name in the portal. What if I don't get picked up? Right? Because I didn't have that much film, right? I started a few games prior to that, but I didn't have that much film. So now it's like, now what? So now I'm not getting paid. Now I'm not playing. Now I'm lost. Now I don't know who I am, potentially.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, how do you reconcile that? Then you confide in friends and family They may not know what that's like.
No.
Some of these kids who make 100,000 make more than, I think it's 85% of America.
Of America. Yes, they do.
Right? So 100 grand. So statistically, they make more than their parents.
Yes. And
My parents
a lot of
coach
times
me.
their parents are dependent on it.
No, yep, dude. But so that's my point, man.
Yes.
This is not going to wait until someone doesn't get drafted, doesn't get picked up in free agency. This ugly mental health crisis that's looming is going to show up this year.
I agree. And it's getting worse. I'm going to play one video from our sponsors, and then I'll ask one other thing. Down south, we have the Trench Mob, run by Julius Williams in Decatur, Georgia. He trains offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments and college showcase camps across the country. Julius has sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. We have the Trench Mob podcast every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. If you want your kid to go to college and play Division I football and be trained by the best, you go to the Trench Mob. To contact them, go to www.battleofthetrenches.com. Ned Von Young owns Fresh Fold Laundry Company down in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a high-end laundry service. They wash, dry, and fold your clothes for you. They have a pickup and drop-off delivery service, so you can have your laundry done in the comfort of your own home without ever leaving. You put your laundry in a clear plastic bag, put it out, they pick it up, everything is done, wash, dried, and fold, and it is dropped off to you within 48 hours. They offer an expedited service as well. They have an online subscription model. You can also book online to schedule your pickups. They have deals for college students. So if you're in college, wash your nasty ass, and you can go to their website. It's myfreshfold-laundry.com. All right. So speaking of Julius, he was telling me, he coaches a lot of kids who have scholarship offers, who have gone on to play at big time college programs. He said that college coaches now are not having the same patience with kids. When they extend offers, it's not like they're going to wait a year or several months for you to make a decision. And he had situations where kids who had 20 or 30 offers ended up at lesser schools because they waited too long to commit or thought they could go somewhere better. And it derailed them in the end. And again, before they even go to college, they're depressed because they're like, I had this offer and I waited because I thought I could do better. I didn't. I lost it. And he said that the kids really go into the tank. They get so upset with themselves. Their parents are upset because most of the parents are not educated to the recruiting process and how it works. And that's what he said. He's like, I'm dealing with it with my kids. So that's what I couldn't believe, because number one, freshmen are being recruited much less as it is. And the ones that he has screwed up because they're not committing soon enough. So he had one of his friends who's a college coach, and he said, listen, if you get a good FBS offer, a Power 4 offer, you got to make a decision. You got to make it within a month at best, at the most, weeks if you can. Do not wait. Those opportunities are few and far between. And, he said it was terrible for him seeing, kids that would come to workouts and They were hard workers. They were dedicated, and they would just be in the tank. They would lose all love and motivation for the game because they didn't commit and or going to a school where they didn't want to end up going to.
Here's the problem. All these kids think they're Shador Sanders.
Yes, they do. I know.
Right? They're like, well, if I do this, I can get this much money over here. I can get, but this is what I'm saying, Cully. What are we after?
Exactly.
Right? What are we after? There was a point in time that legacy mattered. Right? The legacy mattered. Like the conference legacy, school legacy, right? My deciding factor, right? So I got a full scholarship. I got a couple offers, but the ones I considered were this is actually a good case point. So my first offer came from Hawaii, and in large part because my coach, my high school coach, knew the coach at Hawaii, and got because they weren't going to come to New Britain, Connecticut. They were
Right.
He put my tape in front of them. I got an offer from them. That was my first offer. I wasn't going to Hawaii, right? I had a daughter in high school, so I wasn't going to Hawaii. Auburn came, South Carolina came, Wagner, like a bunch of other schools, and like the little schools, they didn't offer me because they knew I wasn't going there.
Right.
But let's just Auburn, South Carolina, UConn, they all came at the same time. However, I was like technically a late qualifier, but literally signed the day after national signing period, literally.
Right.
But UConn came in and said, hey, we want you. You're a Connecticut guy. You have the talent. We know what you're waiting on SAT scores, but we need to take chances with guys like you if we want to be where we want to be, right? That's the conversation that they had with me. And I respected that because though Auburn was interested, though South Carolina was interested, when they heard that my SAT scores didn't come in yet, they're like, nah, we don't want to waste this scholarship on you if you don't qualify. Business decision, completely understood. Now, UConn offered me, I signed. Again, I got my scores, and I got my scores, ironically, on National Signing Day. That's when my scores came in. And the next day, or the same day, whatever, those two schools reached out and offered me.
Yeah, of course they did.
Right? So, and my coach was like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, Auburn, man, that's SEC, right? But I'm like, 84,000 seat stadium. Like I remember doing all the research, and that's how my coach. Shout out to Coach Cordo. He's in the Connecticut Hall of Fame.
He is.
Tony Cordo's a famous coach in
Connecticut. A legend.
Yes, a legend. Great word. So he came and opened up the book and pointed to Auburn and basically showed me like a little bit of research. He's like, they just called. They want to offer you. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, that's the way bigger school than UConn, right? UConn wasn't the UConn that we know now, you know? So I'm like, UConn stuck with me, right? They said they don't care. They're willing to take a chance. And I'm like, and I got to go with that. So Sacred Heart was another one. They did the same thing. They were like, they had a new coach, same thing. He needed to take some chances and some risks. He even told me I can live in his basement. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't qualify until I qualified. But my whole thing was, I'm like, I'm going D1A and I'm playing on TV. That was my the only two things. I'm playing on TV and I'm going Division 1A. But because I committed to UConn, when Auburn came, I didn't sign. You know what I'm saying? So So for me, it was about integrity. It was about a school that said that they were going to give me a shot when others said they wouldn't. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I got to be a man of my word, and I can't go after the shiny star. But a lot of people have the shiny object syndrome. A lot of these kids, because they hear these stories. Oh man, and then you got your drunk uncle, right, telling you, "Oh man, you worth way more than that."
That's what
I'll never
happens.
forget, man. I'll never forget. My brother-in-law, I love him to death. I told him, I'm like, Martin, I said, UConn offered me. I just sent them my transcripts. He's like, call him and get him back. Because he didn't want me to go to UConn.
He
Right?
said,
Because
call
he
and get
thought
him back.
he said, call him and get him back. Because he thought I could go, which I could have gone to a much bigger school. But again, I had already made my mind up based on the loyalty that they showed to me. And I say all that to say, Cully, there's not even an inkling of that anymore
No,
on either side.
it kills
On
me.
either side. Because again, I was going after an opportunity. And I had some ego. Every high performing
We all
athlete
do.
has ego. So I'm like, if I go to UConn, I'm playing day one, right? Because that's just how I felt. And then, of course, I go in day one, I get redshirted, right? And now I want to transfer, but there was no place for me to go. So I'm like, whatever, I'll figure it out. So I don't know what the driving force is. I say I don't know the driving forces for these kids, and it's hard, very hard for me to believe that it's not money. I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying it's very hard for me to believe that it's not, based on everything we're seeing.
I agree with you because I read a great article in The Athletic about colleges not being able to develop quarterbacks anymore. And the writer said, well, it's not about them not being able to develop them. They choose not to. They choose to spend their money and buy one. They'll buy one from a group of five school. They'll buy one from somewhere else who has performed well, bring them in. They have their starter. They don't have to develop them. And now, because the money is so much, you're getting, it's going up to $22 million each athletic department can spend on their athletes. 15 million is traditionally devoted just to football. Then you have NIL on top of that. So football, and they're going to cut down the rosters, I think, to 100. But it costs so much. You need to have two deep. You look at Syracuse, they lost their quarterback and he was gone for the year. They were playing a kid who was a walk-on, who was a lacrosse player for a few weeks, and their season turned into a nightmare. And then I wanted to ask about the Clemson situation. So Clemson signs a transfer linebacker from Cal, commits. They work out the revenue sharing. He's moved in. He's got an apartment. He's got a car. He's working out with the team. He's going to class. Ole Miss continues to reach out to him. They have text messages. They have the communications. And the agent notifies Clemson of this. Dabo called the kid in several times throughout, I think it was last week or the week before. Are you staying? Are you happy here? Yes, I'm staying. I don't want to go there. I visited there already. I want to stay here. Ole Miss ended up upping the offer. And at the end of last week, the kid ended up going to Ole Miss. And, they're going to pay his buyout or whatever. And Clemson was the first school to officially file a tampering charge against another school. The NCAA gets a lot of bitching and moaning from other schools about tampering, but no one have actually filed an official complaint. This was the first one. Dabo hates the transfer portal to begin with. He's been on record saying that, but he knows after the last few years he needs to use it because he's being passed by. I mean, this is the first time that we've seen the Big Ten win the national championship with the last 3 years. It was crazy. So that was interesting to me. The tampering part of it, this kid was getting text messages at 8 a.m. from the GM at Ole Miss, from Pete Golding, the head coach at Ole Miss. And the agent let them know, and Dabo called the Ole Miss GM and said, "Hey, he's with us. Back off." And the GM from Ole Miss said, "Hey, Coach Golding does what Coach Golding does." basically saying there's nothing I can do. And the kid and kid ended up leaving, and dad was like, I don't want anyone here who doesn't want to be here. But how do you? There's no way to really curtail the tampering. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that situation, and if you think there is any possibility to stop or slow down the tampering, or are you going to have to really punish these schools?
Well, let's see how this is litigated, right? If this is a slap on the wrist, you just signed off on tampering.
The NCAA
right?
has to come down hard.
And it's crazy because it's very easy to blame the kid in this scenario, but I don't blame him.
I don't either. He was getting, he's a kid.
Yeah.
I threw a Subway sign through a window when I was at UConn. I mean, the crap Ed and I used to do. We were eating deepy dough at 2 a.m. I mean, we were kids.
I love deepy dough.
We're idiots, of course.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm saying.
But this is what I mean. Like, I understand the NIL is kind of, NCAA is kind of hands off on the NIL for the most part as it stands right now. But I feel like the coaches, they can sanction here.
Yes.
Right? Like it's also like, man, where's the NCAA's gumption, man? Like, they were infamous stripping bowl eligibility,
Heisman Trophy winners,
games, right? Like, and all of a sudden now they scared. It reminds me of like the viral videos going around where it's like my kid's grandmother, which is my mother, ain't the same lady, right? Like this lady was horrible. Like she would, punish me all the time, beat me all the time, and these kids get whatever they want. And it's like that's what the NCAA has become. They've become the soft grandmother. That was a hard mom, and now that she's a pushover as a grandmother. Because it's like, man, the NCAA's been quiet, man. Think about it.
They do nothing.
NCAA had more investigations running concurrently than probably your local PD. It was crazy. And now
they investigated everything. You're right.
Crickets. Like, I don't hear anything. It's almost like they don't know what to do, so they're just doing nothing. And again, I want these kids to get paid, but these adults, that needs to be regulated. These adults need to be regulated, and it's a circus, dude. Like,
it's a 3-ring circus.
Mark my words, Cully. The next thing that's going to come out is Hard Knocks College.
Well, Belichick had his show on Hulu, but then it ended up getting canceled because of his girlfriend. But yeah, there is going to be Hard Knocks probably for college.
There's going to be these kids who get these NIL deals.
Oh, that's right.
That they're going to license their rights away.
They're going to sign to each HBO or whatever for a season of Hard Knocks.
Hey, I'm getting $700,000 on my NIL. Follow me for a year. Watch me in practice. And who's going to stop them?
Yeah, nobody. Right? You're absolutely right. And the NCAA is so scared of being sued. You're right. They're just sitting on their hands.
And the more grace and liberties that are given, the more people are going to push the envelope.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Yeah, right? Of course.
Human nature. So, and then it's going to, I hope never, but we run the risk of forgetting about why we're here. Right?
I think we may have already forgotten it.
Losing sight of why we're here. Why are you here? Right? Like
for the education too.
At a high level, right? Get a quality education. Learn life skills that can't be taught in a boardroom. Right? You have to go into that boardroom with those life skills. Like, these are so many things that are being missed now, dude. And again, I know I sound like the old guy, and I know I'm preaching.
No, I agree with you. We had the same discussion. One of my other co-hosts said there's a complete lack of sweat equity with this generation because so much is being handed to them. They don't know how to work for it. And he said the same thing about a lot of the trade jobs, plumbers, HVACs, whatever. People don't go into those careers because they're above them. When, you can be an apprentice as a plumber and be making six figures within a year. And people think they're above that.
And
where are the adults? That's what blows my mind. Where are the adults just...
You know what, Cully? It's like...
doing what's best for your kid.
These kids, they're going to have to be... When you say where's the adults, in order for the adults to have a say, these kids are going to have to be like extremely grounded, right, in who they are. And come from a sound family foundation.
Yes.
Like that's how the adults will have say. For instance, if there's a family, like for instance, my son played football and he was in high school. He's not chasing money, right? I don't need him to support me.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, we're going to make this decision together and we're going to make what's best. I'm not delusional about what your talent level is. So I'm not going to be holding out on schools so you can mess around and
wait for Michigan. Sure.
We know exactly where your talent level. Based on what I'm seeing, I can guesstimate about what your worth is. And we're going to go for the top end of that. And then we're going to land wherever we land. But my son will be grounded because he has a father who I'm not leveraging him in any capacity.
No.
Right. And I'm not saying parents are leveraging their kids, but I'm saying it's a possibility.
Oh, right? I think it's that, or they're allowing others to do so.
And the thing is, I don't necessarily blame the parents necessarily because it's Michael Milken has this quote. He says intelligence is equally distributed, but access and opportunity isn't.
It's not even close.
Right. So some of these parents don't have access or opportunity.
And Julia said that too.
To do more. You see what I'm saying? So like I get it. Like some of these parents, they've never seen this type of money in their life and they deserve every bit of it. But at what cost? That's the $1 million.
Julia said that too. He said the same thing. He said the parents don't know how recruiting works. He's trying to do as much as he can to educate them on the process. He's trying to convince them, you have 10 offers, waiting for a Georgia, an Alabama, an Auburn may not be the best decision. Maybe you have plenty of good opportunities. Let's take one of those. He's doing his best to try to do that. And I say God bless him every time because I can't imagine, he's got 50 kids he's dealing with and he's got 8th graders who are being offered, 9th graders and up. And I can't imagine what that's like to put up with. And he is doing the same thing, like trying to educate the parents, trying to make sure that the parents are doing things in the best interest of the kid. Like you said, you got to do what's in the best interest of your son. And I know in any situation, our families, would have done whatever it took for us. I mean, they never would have put us in that type of situation where the bottom could fall out. And
they don't know.
That's exactly it. They don't. They're not educated to it. They have no idea. Yep. They have no idea, and it's also partially on the NCAA because they keep changing the rules. Nobody, like half of the people, Julia said, didn't even know the transfer portal was moved from December to January. It was only 15 days, and if you did it the way the NCAA wanted it done, you were by January 2nd, find an agent, start going on visits, make a decision. The people who got signed worked through third parties, had their agents already contacting people in October, November, December had visits set up or had decisions made by the time the portal even opened and then were signed. Now we're seeing kids who are going to community college to take class just to do something and stay eligible, hoping for injuries, and it's just mass hysteria. I was going to try to help out Julius and look through the transfer portal because we feature recruits on the Trench Mob show. I said, dude, if there's guys that we find that are unsigned, let's try to help them. Let's feature their film. We featured guys before who've been signed. So I said, like, this is worse than it was last year. And I just hope that the NCAA toughens up. I hope they do go through with the tampering charges on Ole Miss and punish them and send a message and show their strength. Because like you said, I mean, Jim Harbaugh was suspended because he bought a kid a sandwich during COVID, during a dead period or whatever, when he came on a visit. So you're right. They were they had 45,000 investigations going. Now they're not investigating anything. So
Crazy, man.
It is. So I know you're going to Mexico, but everything else has been going well. Everything's going well with the job, and you're traveling and having a good time.
Yeah, man. Everything is great, man. I was my Kosh. I caught up with my brother-in-law. He was in town.
Good.
Recruiting, and then he had to fly out to recruit. But you know, he I was talking to him about the CSU program and everything like that, and Moore's got some work to do. We knew that going there. Like, he's got some work to do. Cully, can you confirm this? I saw this online that UConn got 64 transfers.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we ended up with 64 signees during the 15-day period, and then beyond, because you can sign beyond. I think we signed someone just as recently as yesterday as well. So yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what we've had the last few years. Mora had brought in 50 and above the last 2 years. Candle brought in a lot of Toledo guys, and then he brought in more. But yeah, we have 60 transfers. That's why I'm saying the turnover is greater than NFL rosters.
And it's like, where people don't get developed, we talked about that earlier, right? You can have a kid who's a backup quarterback, let's just say, and he may ride the bench all year.
Nick Evers ended up, he was going to start the bowl game against Army, and then I think I told you this 2 days before, he decides to go into the transfer portal, and he gets signed by Missouri. It's his fourth time transferring. And then ESPN did an article on the frequent flyers in the transfer portal, and I'm going through it and I'm reading it. There's guys that have transferred 6 times already. And I am looking through this. I'm like, how is this even possible? They'll transfer during the winter period and then get there, not like the place, transfer again, and then go in the spring, not do well in spring practice, transfer again. 6 times. And then we're seeing the eligibility. Trinidad Chambliss got an extra year because
did he get it approved?
Not. I'm sorry. He's still getting it approved. Yeah. It was Diego Pavia who got the 8th year of eligibility because he played 2 years of junior college. The NCAA is handing out more eligibility. I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to end up getting approved. It initially got denied, but the higher court will approve it. The kids are staying in college longer because they're making the money that they are. And, like you said, very few are going to have the opportunity to make the same amount of money again. So they're taking as much time as they can to stay in college. It's like they're all going to, I hope they at least get their degrees and the credits transfer, or we'll have a bunch of PhDs, but I just hope it works out.
Hey, but, is there any truth to Mark Cuban offering Mendoza all that money to stay?
He did, yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was like fake news or whatever.
Well, Mendoza's brother transferred, which was surprising. Mendoza's brother, he was the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And he transferred, which was surprising. I didn't even know Mendoza had another year of eligibility, but
I didn't either.
Apparently he had a 6th year or whatever. And he did get offered. They, as I like to say, they backed the Brinks truck up to his house to try to get him to stay. But he's like, they're the first team to go 16-0 since 1894. It was Yale that went 16-0. So Indiana goes 16-0. They win the national championship. He's going to be the first pick in the draft, probably by the Raiders. I think he's ready to move on. He's been in college, I think, 5 years, maybe 6. I'm not exactly sure. But, he was ready to move on. But
I don't know him coming back guarantees him another natty. I don't know.
No. I mean, Indiana was rated 3rd by ESPN as far as transfer portal classes. But I mean, and everyone is saying it's because the money up north is greater than the money down south. They're saying that the Big Ten is having success because they can buy it.
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I see why they're saying that. I just don't know if I believe it. I mean,
I don't believe it. I think the SEC, the commissioner is Greg Sankey is obviously pissed off. But I mean, the U is doing well. They're raising money. But Texas Tech spent a fortune. They spent $50-60 million on that team. And, I was talking with Mike Burton, and Mike's like, the wealthy, the billionaires, this is going to get old to them in like 5 years. They're going to stop, because this is not like a 1-year thing. Like every year, the coaches or administration is coming back and saying, hey, can you donate another $10 million? He's like, people are going to stop doing that. It's fun for a little while. Like Burton had a blast with it. And he then wanted to just kind of be a third party NIL donor and not like in charge of the whole thing, because it was killing him, because he was seeing so many kids transfer, kids that he brought in, kids that he liked, were leaving because, we didn't have the money. And he couldn't spend millions of dollars to keep them. So he kind of backed away a little bit and is just trying to do it as a third party. He's not running the whole shebang, but he's still committed to it. But I just talking to him, I know how much that, the last few years hurt him. Like he was so hurt by the bowl game this year. Skylar Bell not playing, playing the first series and then not playing, and Figiano not playing. Cam, he loves, but Cam left. Yeah.
It sounds like the players really didn't want to play in that.
No. And I know they didn't. They took a team vote, and it was like 40% wanted to play. The other 60 did not. And I said that they never should have accepted the bowl bid. With all the turmoil that was going on with coach leaving, you're going to accept the bowl bid. It was the week after Mora left, and you're not going to meet or consult with the kids. Like at least I give, it was Kansas State and one other school. They said, we're not playing. They consulted with the kids and said, they don't want to play. We're not going to do it.
Notre Dame opted out.
Notre Dame did it without checking with the kids. They just did it out of spite. But
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize
they didn't ask the kids. They just said, we're not playing in the bowl. But I mean, it's crazy how bad it's become. I just hope that I think, like what you said, I think it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. The gambling also being tied in scares me. And I just hope that we start to see some modicum of improvement.
That will be another episode we can talk about. This whole
Oh,
gambling,
yes.
playing, like that's a
That blew my mind.
ball of wax, dude. Like
I know.
that. There's so much wrong with that, and not the kid, right? Like yes, the kid, but the opportunity.
Yeah,
like it's crazy, man. It's
and we're talking the only about the ones that they found. I can't even imagine the games that went undetected. And if you notice, the majority of the games that they ended up finding out about were games that nobody would watch or care about or think about. The kids got paid off on. Mm-hmm. So they took advantage of kids who weren't like making a ton of NIL money and giving them an opportunity to make big money. But that is, we'll definitely talk about that another time. But I know you're heading to Mexico. I wish you a fantastic trip. We'll definitely talk when you get back.
Sure.
Wait. Thank you again. Chris Bellamy, UConn Star, mental health advocate, champion of fathers' rights, and star of the hit podcast, All Black Men Need Therapy. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, life gives you lemons. Don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges. Throw them right back at life.